Hello Tesla Cats, this is Tesla-chan, or Lucy if you'd prefer, and welcome back to the garden. Now normally I would give you a normal intro image of my 18 Sona and all that, but today I just wanted to get into the nitty-gritty of things. So let's start out by saying welcome to my, hopefully, webcomic that I'm going to be working on, Adventurers Unguided, with our first character of the series, Slate Claiborne. Now, to explain sort of where Slate Claiborne came from, I had a rough family moment at the house a few weeks back. I'm not going to get into the details of that because just no, it's not really anyone's business. But during that time, I felt like I wanted to be a stronger person. I felt like I was always crying and trying to protect people at the last possible second, that I couldn't actually do anything right, that I couldn't protect people right, and being that I feel like, or rather that I've been, in a way, charged with protecting my autistic older brother, that sort of played into that whole thing. I won't get into too many details of the whole situation that happened at the house, but Slate came from that feeling of, I guess, desperation, feeling kind of worried, not really feeling like I can protect the people I care about, and all that stuff. And thus, Slate was born. Slate, in my own mindset, has a lot of integrity and is a good person and just can do a lot of good for a lot of people. Isn't always looked at as, like, she's not loved by everybody, but she does try to do the right thing no matter what, and even if it's a danger to herself, sometimes to her own detriment, but she's, every personality-wise, she's the things that I would like to see in myself. So, and I don't think I see in myself at all. Yeah. So, that's where her concept formed. Initially, she was going to just be a golem, and if you look at Jewish mythology, golems were characters that were often created for protecting people, and that sole purpose. And I decided, no, you know what? I don't want to do a golem. I want to do something a little different. And thus we have our character, Slate. Now, Slate is the princess of her race, known as the Golem Elves, and is going to be next in line for the throne after the death of her mother and father, with her grandpa still being in charge of the throne. She is the last member of that family that is still around, and she, outside of her grandpa, and she is looked down upon a lot, like I stated earlier, because of the fact that she actually has some half-human lineage. Her father was half-human and half-golem elf, and her mother was a full-bred golem elf. Obviously, her grandfather had no problems with this whole thing, as he let his daughter marry her husband, and Slate was born, but in the village that she lives in, which is where the king and queens of their race reside, a lot of people are like, ew, she's not a pure-blooded elf, or ew, she's half-human, and humans treat us like garbage. And part of the reason that golem elves, as their name implies, are treated like garbage is not because they aren't actually beings and don't actually exist, and oh my gosh, it's because of the fact that people in the fantasy realm that I have created have started creating golems for the littlest things possible. A golem could be created to be the nanny of your son and then be done after that use. A nanny could be created just to do groceries or clean the house, or to go out with adventurers places that normal people shouldn't be subjecting themselves to. And because that's the case, Slate in a normal human society or around normal human beings would be mistaken for a golem. Now, granted, originally her race were called Earth Elves because of the fact that they just looked like beings made out of earth or clay, but that obviously changed with time and people rebranded them as Golem Elves instead. I would like to add that not all Golem Elves have horns. A good chunk of them do, especially the earlier ones did. And most of them do have a set of pointed ears. Slate just happens to not have pointed ears. Her horns act as her ears. So she can hear really well, and her hearing's a little bit different than most people's, but she can hear pretty well. But a lot of the other golem elves have pointed ears and have more elfish appearance. And generally speaking, she stands out like a sore thumb. Now, another thing to note about the golem elf race is that you notice that Slate is covered in cracks. It is not because they have a earthy, stone-like defensive exterior or anything. This is just because when they get injured, after it heals, the scars will often appear as dark, deep-set cracks, but they aren't really damaged or anything anymore at that point. That's just how their scars appear on their skin. Being that is the case, with the fact that Slate is injured, Slate has been through a lot. She has had to, because of her race thinking less of her, she has had to run from people who were bullying her when her parents were around. And as she's gotten older, even though the grandpa is really pissed that other golem elves in the area do this to her, the other golem elves often send her out with patrols to the Forbidden Forest, which is right on the edge of her kingdom and the human kingdom of Navalon, which is where one of our other characters, and the next character we'll be working on, is going to come into play, but I'll get into him in the next video I record. But, so Slate definitely gets the butt end of the stick, as it were. She's treated like a common peasant, and that's because, again, just people in her race do not respect her. This also means that she has a slightly different skin tone than some of her other golem elves. Now, I will say this, I neglected to mention this earlier, most golem elves, like I said, do have an earthen look. They have either darker skin or sand-colored skin, just variety of skin based on different types of earth and stone and minerals and sometimes even gemstones. And gemstones are very rare, but so is her skin color, and that is of fey clay. I think it was fey clay. I think I said it was fey clay, but I might change it, but the name of it. But basically, it's a clay that fairies can create that have some minor sparkles throughout it, and it's relatively strong compared to most clay that is used to create specific objects. And the reason for her difference in skin tone has nothing to do necessarily strictly with her lineage, but it has to do with the fact that her father was part human. And so, yes, having a human parent does affect the coloration of the skin, and can make you look vastly different from another golem elf in general. So yes, before people are going to start complaining in the comments if somebody starts drawing fan art of a golem elf or wants to do a golem elf art themselves, you are allowed to do a light-skinned golem elf because you have a parent who is a human being. That is allowed because you have golem elves who have sand-colored skin, and there is white sand. So I don't want any of those complaints about this stuff. This is just the fact that golem elves technically represent any form of earth or ground you could be standing on in terms of their skin tones. They are not limited to darker skin tones. They are not limited to magically beautiful, bright, shiny skin tones like rubies or sapphires or gems either. So feel free to draw a golem elf if you want to in any fashion you like. I don't care. If you're interested in this stuff and you find this video interesting and if you want to play with this idea, by all means, I will not hate you for it, and people who attack you for it and attack you for your artistic decisions are a pain in the ass. Okay, sorry, I had my rant. At any rate, to get back into the thing, as I said, she is the princess of her race, and so her grandpa is constantly trying to protect her, and again, her people just don't like her as a person. And it's not because she chose to be born a certain way, because no one chooses to be born the way they are. It's because of just her parents' decisions and stuff. And it's really dumb. At any rate, Slate is actually very sweet, very kind person, very patient. She's, frankly, just because of these facts, does not mean she's stupid and has grown up to kind of be like, okay, yeah, I know people don't like me, but I want to do my best to do good by them, because just because they won't do good by me does not mean I should treat them like shit. So she does her best to help her people. And at the beginning of the series, she's off exploring a recent uptick in demon activity in the Forbidden Forest, which is why it has been deemed the Forbidden Forest. And on this adventure, the other people who are with her run away when when they see this demon devouring a human corpse, and or getting ready to devour a human corpse, and she chooses to go and save this person. I will not be telling you that much about this person yet, but long story short, she saves his life, but not because of strictly her own magic, because her magic type is mainly constructs, which is why in the first drawing she has a set of gauntlets, a set of white-blue gauntlets that she formed using minerals that were in the bag she was carrying. And as the series progresses, this outfit that you're seeing in this particular speed paint is going to be her main outfit for the series. As I could do the other one, I just figure like pulling it back as she goes out on this adventure with this other person and meets her other friends throughout the series, this would make more sense. Eventually, we could get her back up to the point of where she was in the first drawing, or I can get her to a completely different outfit. That is kind of completely up to you guys, and kind of up to me too. I think no, not quite. Her height compared to the next person who I've mentioned is a male character she's 5'6" and he is 5'9". Now, again, I'll get into that, but basically she saves his life. Her ability is creating constructs, and she basically prays, if the human god that I have heard about the most, the human god that has saved people repeatedly, is real, please let this heart that I've created work. Because she knows how human anatomy looks, and she knows her constructs cannot reform living beings. And basically, to make a long story short, a miracle does take place. The heart turns from this clay stone to a flesh heart and starts beating in his chest, and she closes the wound and gets her back to her village. But yeah, I think that's all you really currently need to know about Slate Claiborne. As always, if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, share, and leave me a comment. And I'll see you Tesla Cats in the next one. Enjoy the rest of the speed paint, guys.